Captain Jake stood on the bridge of his ship and watched the stars streak past the windows. 6 months had passed since humanity made first contact with aliens. 6 months since Earth joined the Galactic Council. 6 months of hope and wonder. Now all of that was ending. "Captain, we're receiving another transmission from the Council chamber," said Lieutenant from the communication station. His voice was tight with worry. Jake nodded. "Put it through." The flickered to life. Ambassador Lisa appeared, her face pale and drawn. Behind her, Jake could see the massive council chamber filled with hundreds of alien species. Most of them looked angry. "Jake, you need to get all our people out of here," Lisa said quietly. "They've made their decision." "What decision?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer. He had been expecting this for weeks. Lisa glanced over her shoulder, then back at the camera. "The Council is giving us 72 hours. We have to surrender all our military ships, shut down our defense systems, and accept what they call protective custody. If we refuse, they'll use force." Jake felt his jaw tighten. Protective custody. That was a nice way of saying slavery. "On what grounds?" he demanded. "They say we're too dangerous," Lisa replied. "Too aggressive. They claim Earth is a death world and we're too violent to be trusted. 12 different species have signed onto this ultimatum. They want us disarmed and under their control." Jake looked at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for orders. He could see fear in their eyes, but also anger. Humans had spent 6 months trying to prove they belonged in the galaxy. They had shared their technology, their art, their culture. They had been honest and open. And now the galaxy wanted to put chains on them. "We're not going to accept that," Jake said flatly. Lisa nodded. She had expected that answer. "I know, but Jake, you need to understand what we're facing. The species backing this ultimatum have over 300 warships. They're already positioning themselves around our solar system. They think this is going to be easy." "How long do we have?" 72 hours from now. Then they attack." Lisa paused. "The vote wasn't even close, Jake. Most of the council either supported it or didn't care enough to stop it. There are a few species who spoke up for us, but not enough to matter." Jake turned to his navigation officer. "Plot a course back to Earth. Maximum speed." "Yes, sir." He looked back at Lisa. "Get everyone out of there. All our diplomats, all our observers, everyone. I want every human out of council space in the next 12 hours. "Already working on it," Lisa said. "Jake, there's something else you should know. I managed to access some of their internal communications. They're not just confident, they're cocky. They think we're primitives who got lucky with faster-than-light travel. They think we'll break as soon as we see their fleet." "Then they're in for a surprise," Jake said grimly. The transmission ended. Jake stood in silence for a moment, thinking about what was coming. Around him, his crew worked at their stations, preparing the ship for the journey home. "Sir, we're picking up new contacts," said the sensor officer suddenly. "Multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. They're taking up positions around the station." "How many?" "At least 50 so far, all military vessels from different species." Jake walked to the sensor display and studied it. The alien ships were spreading out in a standard blockade formation. They weren't even trying to hide their intentions. "They want us to see them," he muttered. "They want us to be afraid." "It's working," muttered Lieutenant. Jake almost smiled. "Don't worry, we've been preparing for this." Looked confused, sir. "Think about it," Jake said. "For 6 months, we've been the new kids in the galaxy. Everyone assumed we were just excited to be here, grateful to be accepted. But what do you think our scientists were really doing while all those alien ships visited Earth?" Understanding dawned on his face. They were studying them. "Every ship that came to our system was scanned from every angle," Jake confirmed. "Every weapons system, every shield frequency, every engine design. We smiled and played nice while we learned everything we could about their technology." And now we know their weaknesses. The ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, leaving the council station behind. As they traveled, Jake received reports from other human vessels in the area. All of them were heading home. All of them carried the same news. War was coming. Back on Earth, Admiral Drake received the reports in his office at Earth Defense Command. He was a tall man with gray hair and hard eyes. He had spent his entire career preparing for the day when humanity might have to fight for survival. That day had arrived. "How many ships do they have?" he asked his aide. "Latest count is 320, sir. Ships from 12 different species. They're confident they can overwhelm us." "Good," Drake said. "Confidence makes people careless." "Sir, even with everything we've prepared, those are terrible odds." "Wars aren't won by odds," Drake replied. "They're won by whoever wants it more, and I guarantee you we want our freedom more than they want our submission." He pulled up a star chart showing Earth's solar system. Red dots marked the positions where the alien fleet was gathering. They were taking their time, making sure Earth could see them coming. It was psychological warfare, meant to break human will before the first shot was fired. "Activate the defense grid," Drake ordered. "I want every ship we have ready to fly, every weapon system online, every pilot at their station." "Yes, sir. Should we attempt any further diplomatic contact?" Drake shook his head. "They've made their position clear. 12 species decided we're too dangerous to exist as free people. They're about to learn what dangerous really means." Across Earth, military bases came alive with activity. Pilots rushed to their fighters. Ship crews reported to their vessels. Defense stations powered up weapons that the aliens had never seen before. In her laboratory, Dr. Foster monitored the preparations. She was a xenobiology expert who had spent months studying the alien species humanity had encountered. Now her research had a new purpose. "Are we really going to do this?" asked her assistant, a young woman named. "We don't have a choice," replied. "They came to us with friendship. We offered them everything we had, and they responded by trying to enslave us." "But 300 ships." "Numbers don't tell the whole story," said. She pulled up a file on her computer. "Look at this. Every species in that fleet uses similar technology. They've been part of the Galactic Council for centuries. Their weapons, their shields, their engines are all based on the same basic principles." "And that helps us how?" Smiled. "Because we're not. We developed our technology independently. Our approach is different. And more importantly, we've spent 6 months finding the flaws in their systems." Still looked worried. "Dr. Foster, what if it's not enough?" Smile faded. "Then we lose, but at least we'll lose as free people, not as slaves." The 72-hour countdown began. Across Earth, people watched the news with fear and determination. Some called for surrender, most called for resistance. No one wanted war, but everyone agreed on one thing: they would not accept chains. In his ready room, Jake reviewed the battle plans one more time. He thought about the aliens gathering their fleet, so certain of their victory. They saw humans as backwards, as lucky primitives who stumbled into space travel without earning it. They were about to learn the truth. Humans had earned their place in the stars through thousands of years of struggle. They had survived ice ages and plagues. They had built civilizations and torn them down and built them again. They had fought and bled and died for every inch of progress. And they were not about to give that up because some aliens decided they were inconvenient. The countdown continued. 72 hours became 48, then 24, then 12. Then the alien fleet entered Earth's solar system, and the war began. The alien fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 320 warships from 12 different species, all gathered for one purpose: to force humanity into submission. On the bridge of the lead vessel, Commander studied the sensor displays with satisfaction. The primitive human world lay before them, practically defenseless. This would be over quickly. "Broadcast the final warning," ordered. The transmission went out across all frequencies. "Humans of Earth, you have refused our generous offer of protection. This is your final chance to surrender. Submit now or face the consequences." On Earth, Admiral Drake listened to the message in the Defense Command Center. Around him, dozens of officers monitored screens showing the positions of both fleets. The alien ships were spread out in a textbook assault formation, confident and unhurried. "Send our response," Drake said calmly. The communication officer nodded and opened a channel. Drake kept his message simple. "This is Admiral Drake of the Earth Defense Force. We decline your offer. If you want our world, come and take it." The channel closed. Drake turned to his staff. "All ships, you are weapons-free. Show them what humans can do." In orbit around Earth, human warships came to life. They were smaller than the alien vessels, newer, built with technology the galaxy had never seen. Now they would prove whether Earth's gamble had paid off. Commander Brandon Lee sat in the cockpit of his fighter, surrounded by 40 other pilots from his squadron. They had trained for months for this moment, running simulations and practicing maneuvers that would have seemed impossible to any alien pilot. "All right, people," Brandon said over the squadron channel. "Remember what we learned. They think in straight lines. They've been fighting the same way for centuries. We're going to show them something new." "Squadron leader, this is Control," came a voice from the carrier. "You are cleared for launch. Good hunting." "Copy that, Control. Squadron, form up on me." The fighters launched in perfect formation, streaking toward the alien fleet at speeds that made the enemy sensors struggle to track them. Brandon felt the familiar rush of adrenaline as his craft accelerated. This was what he had trained for his entire career. The aliens opened fire first. Energy beams and missiles filled the space between the two fleets. It should have been a slaughter. The human ships were outnumbered and by any conventional measure. But the battle didn't go the way the aliens expected. Brandon's fighter twisted through the incoming fire with movements that seemed to defy physics. His ship wasn't just fast. It could change direction in ways that made alien targeting computers give up in confusion. The humans had spent months studying how the aliens fought, and they had designed their ships to exploit every weakness. "Break and attack," Brandon shouted. "Remember your targets." The squadron split apart, each fighter heading for a different alien vessel. Brandon locked onto a large cruiser and fired. His weapons were different from anything the aliens had seen before. The energy beams didn't just hit the shields. They passed through them as if the shields weren't even there. The alien cruiser shuddered as explosions rippled across its hull. Impossible. Their shields should have stopped those weapons, but somehow the human technology bypassed them entirely. "What is happening?" Commander demanded on his flagship. "How are they penetrating our shields?" "Unknown, Commander. Our defensive systems aren't recognizing their weapons as threats. The shields aren't activating properly." Across the alien fleet, similar scenes played out. Human ships danced through their formations, striking with precision and then vanishing before return fire could lock on. The aliens had assumed this would be easy. They were discovering it was anything but. Dr. Foster watched the battle from a monitoring station on Earth. She had access to feeds from multiple human ships, showing the engagement from different angles. What she saw fascinated and terrified her. "The alien coordination is breaking down," she said to her team. "Look at these communication patterns. They're trying to adapt, but they can't. They've never faced an opponent like this." Her assistant pointed at another screen. "Dr. Foster, look at this. Multiple alien ships are reporting systems failures. Weapons, shields, engines. It's like their ships are falling apart." Leaned closer, studying the data. This wasn't right. Human weapons were effective, but they shouldn't be causing this level of system failure. Something else was happening. In space, the battle continued. General Hayes commanded the human fleet from the bridge of the carrier Washington. He was a veteran of countless military operations, but he had never seen anything like this. "Sir, enemy fleet is attempting to regroup," reported his tactical officer. "They're pulling back to defensive positions." "Don't let them," ordered. "Press the attack. I want them scattered and confused." The human ships surged forward. They moved with a coordination that the aliens couldn't match, striking hard and then retreating before the enemy could respond. It was like watching a pack of wolves take down much larger prey. But then something strange began to happen. "Sir, we're picking up unusual readings from enemy vessels," said the sensor officer. "Energy fluctuations, quantum anomalies. I've never seen anything like this." Frowned Specify. "It's hard to explain, sir. It's like space itself is becoming unstable around their ships." On flagship, alarms blared across the bridge. The commander stared at his displays in growing panic. This was impossible. Their weapons wouldn't fire. Their shields kept cycling on and off randomly. And now, several ships were reporting that their navigation systems were giving impossible readings. "Commander, we need to withdraw," urged his second officer. "We're taking heavy casualties and we don't understand what's happening." "We can't withdraw," snarled. "We have 300 ships, they're primitives, we should be crushing them." But they weren't crushing them, they were losing. A new alarm sounded. "Commander, multiple ships are reporting critical failures. The Valiant, the Thunder, the Morning Star. Their systems are shutting down completely." "Get them back online." "We're trying, sir, but it's not responding to any commands. It's like the ships are being affected by some kind of field we can't detect." Brandon Lee pulled his fighter into a tight turn and watched as another alien cruiser went dark. Its lights flickered and died. Its weapons fell silent. The ship drifted, powerless and helpless. "Control, this is Squadron Leader," Brandon reported. "Confirm visual on enemy vessel going dark. No signs of structural damage. It just stopped working." "Copy that, Squadron Leader. We're seeing the same thing across the. Multiple enemy ships are experiencing total systems failure." Brandon frowned inside his helmet. Something about this didn't feel right. The human weapons were good, but they weren't this good. The aliens should have adapted by now, should have found ways to counter the human tactics. Instead, they were falling apart. Dr. Foster saw it first. She was reviewing the quantum sensor data when the pattern became clear. Her hands froze over the keyboard as understanding hit her. "Oh no," she whispered. "What is it?" asked. "The aliens, their ships. Something is happening to them, something we didn't plan for." "What do you mean?" Pulled up a display showing the quantum readings from the battlefield. "Look at this. Every time one of their ships goes dark, there's a spike in dimensional energy. Spacetime itself is becoming unstable around them." "But why? What's causing it?" "I think we are," said slowly. "Or rather, our technology. We knew our approach was different from theirs. We designed our systems to exploit the weaknesses in their technology, but I think we created something more than we realized." On the battlefield, more alien ships went dark. One moment they were fighting, the next their systems failed completely. And then, impossibly, they began to vanish. "Sir, you need to see this," said the sensor officer on the Washington. "Enemy vessels are disappearing, not exploding, not jumping to faster than light. They're just gone." General Hayes stared at the display. It was true. Alien ships were vanishing from the sensors, leaving behind empty space where they had been moments before. What in the world is happening? No one had an answer. In the span of 2 hours, what should have been humanity's destruction had become something else entirely. The alien fleet was falling apart, and now ships were disappearing without explanation. Commander watched in horror as ship after ship in his fleet went dark and then vanished. The transmissions from the affected vessels were terrifying. Crews reported that their ships were folding, that space itself was wrong, that they could see things that shouldn't exist. Then the transmissions would cut off, and the ships would be gone. All ships retreat, finally ordered, retreat now. The remaining alien vessels broke formation and fled. They jumped to faster-than-light travel, as fast as their damaged systems would allow, desperate to escape whatever was happening. In 2 hours, a fleet of 320 warships had been reduced to less than 100, and over 200 ships had simply ceased to exist. On Earth, humanity stood in shocked silence. They had won, but no one understood how or what they had really done. The aliens had disappeared after confronting humans, and now the galaxy would demand answers that humanity wasn't sure they had. 48 hours after the battle, the galaxy was in chaos. News of the vanished fleet spread across every system, every world, every station. Over 200 warships had confronted humanity and simply ceased to exist. No wreckage, no survivors, no explanation. Lieutenant Stevens sat at her communication station aboard the Washington, reviewing the final transmissions from the alien vessels for the 100th time. She had been ordered to find anything that might explain what happened. So far, she had found only questions. "Play the last transmission from the cruiser Valiant again," she told the computer. The recording started, an alien voice tight with panic speaking in the common galactic language. "This is the Valiant to Fleet Command. Our systems are failing. No, not failing. They're changing. The ship is folding. I don't know how else to describe it. Space around us is wrong. We can see places that shouldn't exist, colors that don't make sense. The walls are bending and I can see through them into somewhere else in." Static, then nothing. The ship had vanished from all sensors at that exact moment. Closed her eyes and rubbed her temples. She had listened to dozens of these recordings. They were all similar. Crews reporting impossible things in their final moments before disappearing, and not one of them had any idea what was happening to them. "Lieutenant, you need to take a break," said Captain Jake, walking over to her station. He had returned to the Washington after the battle and now spent most of his time trying to understand what they had done. "I can't, sir. There has to be something in these recordings, some clue about where they went." "Where they went?" Jake raised an eyebrow. "You think they went somewhere?" "They didn't explode, sir. They didn't break apart. They just vanished. That means they had to go somewhere." Jake considered this. "Keep working on it, but get some rest soon. That's an order." Across Earth, scientists were reaching similar conclusions. Dr. Greg Palmer stood in front of a massive screen showing quantum sensor data from the battle. He was a physicist who specialized in the theories behind faster-than-light travel. Now he was studying something that shouldn't be possible. "The readings are clear," he said to his team. "At every point where a ship disappeared, we see identical quantum signatures. Space-time was manipulated, deliberately manipulated." "But by what?" asked one of his colleagues. "Our weapons." "That's what I thought at first, but look at the timing. The quantum events occurred after our weapons hit, but they weren't caused by the weapons themselves. It was something else, something about the interaction between our technology and theirs." He pulled up another display. "Human ships use a different approach to faster-than-light travel than the galactic standard. We discovered the principles independently. Our drives work on different quantum frequencies. When our weapons struck the alien ships, those frequencies interacted with their drive systems in ways we didn't predict." "You're saying we accidentally created a weapon?" "I'm saying we created a reaction. The alien ships, our weapons, the quantum frequencies, they all combined to create something new, something that pulled those ships out of normal space." Another scientist frowned. "Pulled them where?" "That's the question, isn't it?" At the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Lisa sat in an emergency session. The chamber was packed with representatives from hundreds of species. All of them wanted answers. Many of them were afraid. A tall alien with blue skin stood and addressed the chamber. The humans must explain what they have done. They must tell us what weapon they deployed, and they must return our ships and crews immediately. Lisa stood calmly. She had prepared for this. We did not deploy a weapon in the traditional sense. We defended ourselves against an unprovoked attack. What happened to your ships was unexpected. We are investigating. Unexpected, another alien shouted. You made over 200 ships disappear and you claim it was unexpected. Yes, Lisa said firmly. We did not know this would happen. We designed our defenses to protect Earth. The disappearances were an unintended consequence of the interaction between our technology and yours. You expect us to believe that? I expect you to consider the facts. If we had wanted to destroy your fleet, we could have. If we had wanted to kill your crews, we would have. Instead, we disabled your ships without casualties. The disappearances happened after, and we are working to understand why. An older alien, one of the few species that had defended humanity before the war, spoke up. Ambassador speaks the truth. Analysis of the battle shows that human weapons were designed to disable, not destroy. Whatever happened to the vanished ships, it was not the intended result. But most of the council wasn't interested in nuance. They were afraid, and fear makes people angry. Agent Christina Vale watched the council session from Earth through a secure feed. She was an intelligence operative who had spent months gathering information about the galactic political situation. Now, she was trying to understand what humanity had accidentally created. We need to know if the ships can be recovered, she said to her team. That's the key question. If they're gone permanently, we have a diplomatic nightmare. If they can be brought back, we have a chance at peace. Do we even want peace with them? Asked one of her analysts. They tried to enslave us. They did, Christina agreed. But we can't fight the entire galaxy. We need allies, not enemies. And returning their people would go a long way toward building trust. She pulled up a file on her computer. I've been analyzing the quantum data from the battle site. Dr. Palmer's team thinks the ships were pulled into pocket dimensions. Space is outside normal space-time. If that's true, they might still exist. We just need to figure out how to reach them. And if we can't? Christina didn't answer. If they couldn't recover the ships, humanity would be seen as a threat that could make entire fleets vanish without a trace. Some species would want to ally with them out of fear. Others would want to destroy them before Earth could do it again. Neither option led to the peaceful coexistence humanity had hoped for. Dr. Foster worked late in her laboratory, comparing biological readings from the alien crews who survived the battle with the final medical scans from the vanished ships. She was looking for any sign that the disappeared crews had been harmed by whatever happened to them. If they're in pocket dimensions like Dr. Palmer thinks, what would that mean for living beings? She asked her assistant. I have no idea. We've never studied anyone in a pocket dimension before. Think about it theoretically. If space-time is folded around them, how would that affect their perception of time, their aging, their biology? His eyes widened. You think they might be frozen, like time stopped for them? It's possible. If the quantum field isolated them completely from normal space, they might not experience any time at all. From their perspective, they could vanish and then reappear instantly, even if years pass for us. That would mean they're still alive. Yes, said. And it would mean we need to find a way to bring them back before the galaxy decides we're monsters. News of the vanished fleet reached every corner of the galaxy. On distant worlds, people watched the reports with a mixture of fear and fascination. Humanity had been dismissed as primitive, as lucky newcomers who didn't belong. Now they were something else entirely. Some species began sending diplomatic requests to Earth, asking for non-aggression pacts and trade agreements. Others quietly upgraded their defenses and began developing countermeasures to the new threat. And 12 species mourned their missing crews. Back on the Washington, General Hayes met with his senior staff to review the situation. They had won the battle, but now they faced a different kind of war, a political one. The council is demanding we appear before them and explain what happened, said. They want a demonstration of our technology. They want proof that the disappeared ships can be recovered, and they want guarantees that we won't do this again. Can we give them those guarantees? Asked one of his officers. I don't know. We barely understand what we did. Dr. Palmer's team is working on it, but right now we have more questions than answers. Captain Jake spoke up. Sir, what if we can recover the ships? What does that mean for us politically? It means we prove we're not monsters, replied. It means we show the galaxy that we acted in self-defense, not out of aggression. And it means we might have a chance at real membership in the galactic community instead of being the species everyone fears. And if we can't recover them? His expression darkened. Then we become something else, a power that can make fleets disappear without explanation. Some species will bow to that power, others will unite against it. Either way, we'll never have the peaceful coexistence we wanted. The room fell silent. Everyone understood the stakes. Dr. Greg Palmer had a breakthrough 3 days after the battle. He called an emergency meeting with Earth's leadership and presented his findings. We can find them, he announced. The pocket dimensions where the ships are located. I've developed a way to detect their quantum signatures. They're still there, existing in spaces parallel to our own reality. Admiral Drake leaned forward. Can we bring them back? Theoretically, yes. We would need to create a controlled quantum field that reverses the original displacement. It's complex and risky, but it's possible. How risky? If we get it wrong, we could make things worse. The ships could be destroyed, or we could create more dimensional rifts. But if we do nothing, those crews will remain trapped forever. Drake looked at the others in the room. Recommendations. We have to try, said Ambassador Lisa. If we can return their people, we prove our intentions. We show the galaxy that we're not trying to be conquerors. Agreed, said General Hayes. But we need to be smart about this. We return them on our terms with the whole galaxy watching. We make it clear that we could have kept them but chose not to. Drake nodded slowly. Make it happen, and make sure everyone in the galaxy sees it. We're going to show them what humanity really is. The word went out. Earth's scientists began preparing for the most important operation in human history. They were going to reach into pocket dimensions and bring back the vanished fleet. The galaxy watched and waited, wondering what humanity would do next. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from every known species packed the galleries, all watching the central platform where a human figure stood alone. This moment would define humanity's place in the galaxy. Director looked out at the sea of alien faces. Some showed curiosity, many showed fear, a few showed open hostility. He had prepared for this moment for weeks, knowing that his words would echo across 1,000 worlds. Members of the Galactic Council, he began, his voice calm and clear. I am director of Earth's Advanced Research Division. I am here to explain what happened to your ships and, more importantly, to tell you what humanity intends to do about it. The chamber fell silent. Everyone leaned forward. For 6 months, humanity has been a member of this council. During that time, we welcomed your ships to our system. We studied your technology with fascination. We learned about your cultures, your histories, your approaches to science and engineering. You saw us as eager students, grateful for the knowledge you shared. Paused. You were not wrong, but you were not entirely right either. Yes, we learned, but we also analyzed. We compared your technology to ours and found something remarkable. Your civilization has spent thousands of years perfecting a specific approach to faster-than-light travel. Every species in this chamber uses fundamentally the same principles, refined over generations. He activated a holographic display. It showed the basic structure of a galactic standard faster-than-light drive. Humanity developed our faster-than-light capability independently. We approached the problem from a different angle, using different mathematics, different quantum theories. Our drives work, but they work differently than yours. This difference became critical when your fleet attacked Earth. Another image appeared, showing the battle. When your ships engaged ours, we defended ourselves using weapons designed to exploit weaknesses we had identified in galactic standard technology. But something unexpected happened. The interaction between our weapon frequencies and your drive systems created a cascading effect, a dimensional displacement field. Murmurs spread through the chamber, waited for silence before continuing. Your ships were not destroyed. They were displaced, moved out of normal spacetime into pocket dimensions, isolated universes where they exist, frozen, unable to interact with our reality. An alien delegate stood. You claim this was an accident. Not entirely, admitted. We knew our weapons would be effective against your shields and systems, but we did not predict the dimensional displacement. That was an unintended consequence of the quantum interactions. And our crews, demanded another alien. What happened to them? Doctor stepped forward to join. He was a dimensional physics specialist who had been studying the phenomenon since the battle. Your crews are alive, said. Unharmed as far as we can determine. From their perspective, no time has passed. They experience the moment of displacement and then nothing. When we retrieve them, they will emerge exactly as they were when they vanished. When you retrieve them, the alien's voice was sharp, you can return our ships. Yes, confirmed. We have developed a method to reverse the dimensional displacement. It requires precise quantum field manipulation, but we have successfully tested it on smaller objects. We are ready to attempt full-scale retrieval of your vessels. The chamber erupted in voices. Some aliens demanded immediate action. Others expressed skepticism. A few accused humanity of lying. Admiral Drake's voice cut through the noise via the communication system. This is Admiral Drake of Earth Defense Command. I want to make something very clear to this council. Humanity possesses the capability to create dimensional displacement fields at will. We understand the principle now. We could make any ship, any fleet, disappear into pocket dimensions. The chamber fell silent again. We could do this, Drake continued. But we choose not to. The disappeared fleet serves as proof of our capability. The return of that fleet will serve as proof of our intentions. We did not want war. We wanted peace. When peace was to us, we defended ourselves. Now that the fighting is over, we will show mercy. Captain Melissa commanded the special operations ship that would lead the recovery effort. She stood on her bridge, watching the diplomatic feed while her crew prepared the quantum field generators. Captain, all systems are ready, reported her chief engineer. We can begin recovery operations on your order. Not yet, Melissa said. The director needs to finish his presentation. Back at the council, brought up another holographic display. This one showed the quantum signatures of the pocket dimensions where the alien ships were trapped. We can detect every ship, he explained. We know exactly where they are. The recovery process will be conducted in full view of the galactic community. We will broadcast every step so that everyone can witness what we do. He looked directly at the cameras that were sending this feed across the galaxy. Humanity did not seek this conflict. We came to the stars hopping to find friends, allies, fellow explorers of the universe. Instead, we found those who feared us so much they tried to enslave us. We responded with force, yes, but not with cruelty. We disabled your fleet. We could have destroyed it. Now we will return it, not because we have to, not because we are afraid of consequences, but because it is the right thing to do, because we would rather be known for our mercy than our power. Ambassador Hal, one of the few aliens who had spoken in favor of humanity before the war, stood and addressed the chamber. Director speaks with wisdom. His people have demonstrated both strength and restraint. I propose that we accept their offer to return our ships, and in return, we formally acknowledge humanity's right to exist as a free and equal member of this council." "Never," shouted a delegate from one of the species that had led the attack. "They are dangerous. They have technology that can erase fleets from existence. And they are offering to teach us how to defend against it," Hal countered. "Director, will humanity share this knowledge?" Nodded. "We will share the basic principles of dimensional displacement and how to prevent it. We will not share the full weapons technology, but we will ensure that every species can protect themselves from this effect. We do not want to be the only ones who understand this phenomenon." "Why?" another alien asked suspiciously. "Why would you give up your advantage?" "Because we want to live in a galaxy where trust is possible," replied. "If only we possess this knowledge, every species will fear us. If everyone understands it, it becomes one more tool that we all share and all can defend against. That is how you build a civilization, through shared knowledge, not hoarded secrets." The debate continued for hours, but slowly, carefully, a consensus emerged. The Council would allow humanity to attempt the recovery. If successful, new treaties would be negotiated. If humanity failed or if they harmed the crews in any way, there would be consequences. Finally, the moment came, gave the signal. "Captain, you are cleared to begin recovery operations." In space, Melissa's ship moved to the coordinates of the first pocket dimension. Her crew activated the quantum field generators, devices that had been built specifically for this purpose. "Beginning dimensional resonance scan," reported the science officer. "We have a lock on the pocket dimension. It's stable." "Good," Melissa said. "Begin the reversal sequence." Energy pulsed from the ship, invisible to normal sensors but clearly visible on quantum detectors. The field began to interact with the pocket dimension, slowly revealing the displacement that had trapped the alien ship. All across the galaxy, people watched their screens as the human ship worked. This was the moment of truth. Could they really bring back what had vanished? "Dimensional barrier weakening," the science officer reported. "Resonance frequency matching. Contact in 30 seconds." Melissa gripped her command chair. "All stations prepare for emergence." The space in front of their ship began to shimmer. Colors that didn't exist in normal physics rippled across the... And then, like a ship rising from underwater, an alien cruiser appeared. It hung in space, lights flickering on as its systems restarted. On its bridge, the crew stared at their screens in confusion. From their perspective, no time had passed. One moment they were being pulled into impossible geometries. The next, they were back in normal space. "The Valiant has returned," Melissa announced. "All systems appear functional. We're receiving transmissions from their crew. They're confused but unharmed." Across the galaxy, the broadcast showed the alien ship reappearing. A ship that had been gone for weeks returned in an instant. The crew alive and well. Melissa smiled. "One down, 217 to go. Let's bring them all home." Over the next week, the recovery operation continued. One by one, the vanished ships returned to normal space. Each crew emerged bewildered but unharmed, exactly as they had been when they disappeared. The galaxy watched in amazement. Humanity had demonstrated power that should have been impossible. They had made fleets vanish with technology no one else understood, and then they had brought them back, proving that their intentions were not malicious. Admiral Drake watched the final ship return from his office on Earth. It had been a long week, but they had done it. Every ship recovered. Every crew returned safely. "Sir, we're receiving messages from the Council," said his aide. "Multiple species are requesting formal diplomatic meetings. They want to establish treaties with Earth." "What kind of treaties?" "Non-aggression pacts, mostly. They want assurances that we won't use dimensional displacement against them. Some are offering technology exchanges." Drake nodded slowly. "Set up the meetings, but make sure everyone understands the terms. We will not be anyone's servant, and we will not tolerate threats, but we are willing to be partners with those who treat us as equals. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted. Humanity was no longer the naive newcomer, grateful for acceptance. They had proven themselves in the harshest way possible. Now they would see if the galaxy could accept them as they truly were, powerful, capable, and determined to forge their own path among the stars. 3 months after the vanished fleet returned, the galaxy looked very different. The species that had attacked Earth now approached with caution and respect. Those who had defended humanity found themselves with a powerful ally, and everyone understood that the balance of power had changed forever. Senator Wright stood before the United Earth Assembly, addressing representatives from every nation. The debate had raged for weeks about how humanity should proceed. Some wanted to leverage their new power aggressively. Others feared becoming the tyrants they had fought against. "We stand at a crossroads," said, her voice echoing through the chamber. "We have proven our strength. The entire galaxy knows what we can do. Now we must prove our wisdom. Power without wisdom makes us no better than those who tried to enslave us." A representative from the European coalition stood. "Senator Wright, the galaxy fears us now. Some would say that fear is better than friendship. It keeps us safe." "Fear breeds resentment," countered, "and resentment breeds conflict. Yes, we are safe now because they know what we can do, but I would rather be safe because they respect us, not because they are afraid of us." "How do you propose we achieve that?" Pulled up a document on the main screen. "This is the Galactic Cooperation Initiative, a series of treaties and agreements that will define humanity's relationship with the Council. We will share some of our technology. We will participate in joint defense agreements. We will contribute to galactic scientific research. But we will do all of this as equals, not as subjects or masters." The debate continued, but gradually the assembly reached a consensus. Humanity would use this moment not to dominate, but to build something better. At a neutral station on the edge of Council space, Ambassador Lisa met with representatives from dozens of alien species. The formal negotiations were being broadcast across the galaxy. Everyone wanted to see how Earth would handle its new status. Ambassador Hal, who had become one of humanity's strongest supporters, opened the session. "We gather here to discuss the future of galactic cooperation. The events of recent months have shown us all that we have much to learn about each other." A delegate from the species whose government had led the attack on Earth stood nervously. "Ambassador, my people wish to formally apologize for our actions. We were wrong to threaten your world. We were wrong to assume you were inferior. We ask for your forgiveness." Lisa looked at the alien carefully. She remembered watching the fleet approach Earth, remembered the fear that humanity might be destroyed. But she also remembered what Director had said: "Mercy makes you stronger than vengeance ever could." "Apology accepted," Lisa said. "But words alone are not enough. We need to build trust through actions. Your people and all the species that joined the attack must commit to the new treaties, must agree to treat humanity as equals. Can you do that?" "Yes," the delegate said. "We can, we will." Over the next week, treaties were signed. Non-aggression pacts that guaranteed humanity's sovereignty. Trade agreements that would benefit Earth and alien worlds alike. Scientific cooperation programs that would share knowledge in both directions. And most importantly, formal recognition that Earth was not just a member of the Galactic Council, but a full partner with all rights and privileges. Dr. Foster traveled to a Council research station to present her findings on cross-species biology. She had spent months studying the differences between human physiology and that of other species. Now she was sharing what she had learned. "Earth is what you call a death world," she told the assembled scientists. "High gravity, dangerous weather, abundant predators, aggressive diseases. Humans evolved in an environment that tried to kill us every day. This shaped not just our bodies but our minds." An alien scientist asked. How does this relate to your technological advancement? We learned to solve problems because we had to, explained. We learned to adapt because adaptation meant survival. We learned to work together because alone we would die. These are not just human traits. They are survival traits. Any species from a harsh world would develop them. She pulled up a comparison chart. Look at the species that have made the greatest technological leaps in the shortest time. Almost all of them come from difficult worlds. You, the council species, evolved on gentle worlds with stable climates and fewer threats. Your advancement has been steady and methodical. Ours has been rapid and innovative. Neither approach is better. They are just different. You are saying we underestimated you because we did not understand your origins. Yes, and you will underestimate others in the future if you continue to judge by your own standards. The galaxy is diverse. That diversity is strength, not weakness. The presentation sparked discussions across the scientific community. Humans were not anomalies. They were simply the product of their environment, like every other species. Understanding this helped ease the fear that had gripped the galaxy. Admiral Tyler Grant oversaw the decommissioning of the dimensional displacement weapons. They had been tested, proven, and now they would be carefully stored. Earth hoped they would never be needed again. "Sir, are we sure this is wise?" asked one of his officers. "These weapons gave us superiority." "They gave us fear," Tyler corrected. "Every species in the galaxy knows we have them. We don't need to keep them deployed to maintain deterrence. The knowledge that they exist is enough. And if someone attacks us again, then we bring them out of storage. But until then, we focus on building a fleet that can defend us through conventional means. We need allies, not terrified neighbors." The weapons were sealed in secure facilities, monitored constantly but no longer active. It was a gesture of good faith that many species appreciated. Commander Brandon Lee, the fighter pilot who had led his squadron during the battle, found himself in an unexpected position. He was training alien pilots in human combat tactics at a joint military academy. "Your approach is so different from ours," said one of his students, a young alien from a species that had been neutral during the conflict. "You move like you expect the universe to try to kill you." Brandon laughed. "That's because on Earth it usually does. We don't fly defensively. We fly like predators. It's not better or worse than your methods. It's just what works for us." "Can we learn to fly this way?" "You can learn the techniques, but the mindset takes time. You have to stop thinking in terms of formations and standard tactics. You have to think about how your opponent thinks, what they expect, and then do something completely different." The training program became one of the most popular joint initiatives. Human tactics, alien technology, combined to create something new. The galaxy was learning that cooperation brought benefits that confrontation never could. Captain Jake returned to his ship after a diplomatic mission to a species that had once threatened Earth. They had apologized, offered reparations, and asked for trade agreements. He accepted their apology and recommended approval of the trade deal. "How do you do it, sir?" asked Lieutenant. "How do you forgive people who wanted to destroy us?" Jake considered the question. "I don't forget what they tried to do, but I also understand why they did it. They were afraid. Fear makes people do terrible things. Now they understand that we're not what they feared, so we move forward." Just like that. Not just like that, it takes time. It takes trust being built slowly through hundreds of small actions. But yes, eventually. Because the alternative is eternal conflict and nobody wins that. Earth cities changed as alien visitors became common. Diplomatic missions, trade delegations, scientific exchanges. Humans and aliens walked the same streets, ate in the same restaurants, worked on the same projects. It wasn't perfect. There were misunderstandings and occasional conflicts, but slowly, steadily, relationships formed. Dr. Greg Palmer published his research on dimensional physics in a journal that was distributed across the galaxy. He didn't share the weapons technology, but he shared enough that other species could understand the principles and develop their own defenses. "Some people think I'm crazy for giving this away," he told his team. "They say I'm giving up our advantage." "What do you say?" asked one of his students. "I say that if we keep this knowledge secret, we guarantee that someday someone will use it against us. But if we share the basics, if we help everyone protect themselves, then dimensional displacement becomes just another tool that we all understand. No one species has an overwhelming advantage. That's how you build lasting peace." The Galactic Council formally recognized Earth as a major power, not through conquest or intimidation, but through demonstrated capability and measured response. Humanity had proven they could fight. Then they had proven they could show mercy. And finally, they were proving they could build. Senator Wright attended the ceremony where Earth's status was officially elevated. She stood beside Ambassador Lisa as alien dignitaries from hundreds of worlds offered their congratulations. "We did it," Lisa whispered. "We're not just members anymore, we're partners." "It's not done yet," replied. "This is just the beginning. Now comes the hard part, living up to what we've promised." A memorial was erected on Earth in a park visible from orbit. It wasn't a traditional war memorial. The sculpture showed two hands reaching toward each other. One human, one alien. They didn't quite touch, but they were close. The inscription below read simple words that would echo through generations. "They came to conquer and disappeared. We proved our strength, then showed our mercy. May the galaxy remember both." Admiral Drake attended the memorial dedication. He was older now, showing the strain of the past months, but his eyes were clear as he addressed the crowd. "We faced extinction and survived," he said. "We faced impossible odds and prevailed, but our greatest victory was not in the battle. It was in what we did after. We could have become tyrants. We could have used fear to control others. Instead, we chose a harder path. We chose to build trust." He paused, looking up at the stars visible even in daylight. The aliens who disappeared learned something in those pocket dimensions. They learned that humanity was capable of things they never imagined. But when they returned, they learned something more important. They learned that we were also capable of forgiveness, of mercy, of building instead of destroying. Let that be our legacy, not the species that could make fleets vanish, but the species that chose to bring them back. In his laboratory, Doctor continued his research into dimensional physics. The war had revealed possibilities that would keep scientists busy for generations. But now the research was collaborative. Human and alien scientists working together, sharing insights, building on each other's work. "We've barely scratched the surface," he told a visiting alien researcher. "Dimensional displacement is just the beginning. There are entire universes folded into the fabric of space-time. Imagine what we could learn if we explored them together." "Explored them safely," the alien corrected with what might have been a smile. "Some of us remember what happened when you explored them accidentally." Laughed, point taken, safely and carefully, but together. Years would pass before the full impact of these events became clear, but the foundation was laid. Humanity had earned its place in the galaxy not through superiority or conquest, but through strength balanced with compassion. They had proven they could defend themselves against any threat, and then they had proven they preferred cooperation to conflict. The species that had attacked Earth became some of humanity's strongest allies. They had seen humanity at its most dangerous and at its most merciful. They understood that humans were not monsters to be feared or primitives to be controlled. They were partners to be respected. Captain Melissa, who had led the recovery operations, was asked to write a report on the entire incident for the historical record. She concluded it with words that would be quoted for generations. The aliens disappeared after confronting humans because they underestimated what Death World species are capable of. They returned because they discovered that capability includes not just the power to destroy, but the wisdom to choose mercy. That may be humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, proof that strength and compassion are not opposites, but complements. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity was not a species to be trifled with, but more importantly, they were not a species to be feared. They were a species to be partnered with, to build with, to explore the universe alongside. And in the end, that was all humanity had ever wanted: to be treated as equals among the stars, to contribute to something greater than themselves, and to prove that even from the harshest world could come not just strength, but wisdom. The aliens had disappeared after confronting humans, but in their return lay the seeds of a better galaxy, one where understanding triumphed over fear, where cooperation defeated conflict, and where the members of the galactic community taught everyone else that true power lies not in what you can destroy, but in what you choose to build.